Hey there internets, I'm Michael and today on Toucan Play That Game I'm going to teach you how to play Rise of the Kage by GCT Studios. Now these are the official rules that you should be using instead of the ones that actually come with the game. Now you can download these from GCT Studios website or from the Board Game Geek page, and you'll find links to both of those in the description of this video. When setting up the game, the first thing you're going to need to decide is whether or not you're going to be using the advanced rules. Now, I will explain these in full detail at the end of the video, but in summary, they add more complexity and more strategy to the game, so they're not advised for new players. Then, once you've done this, one player will take on the role of the guards, and then the remaining players will split the three ninjas between them, so you're using one ninja from each of the three clans. The guard player will then pick which side of the game board you will be using. Then select which boss they wish to use, and each game board does have a recommended boss to use, but don't feel you have to follow this. You'll then take their card and sit that in front of you, and then also take their corresponding model. Then place the alert level and turn tracker tokens on the guard player mat. Then from the options given on the guard mat, pick which guards you will be using for the game and take their corresponding cards and models and place them in front of you. You'll pick a guard for each of the different alert levels, yellow, amber and red. You'll then need to take all the tokens listed on the board game layout page for the board that you're playing, along with 2 barracks tokens. You'll then place all of these on the game board along with your starting guard models, and you can see how many you get from your guard player mat. The doors come in 2 types, Soji and Plank. The difference between them is that the plank doors are slightly harder for the ninjas to get through, but I'll talk more about that later on. Doors must be placed in doorways marked by dotted lines on the game board. Bells and lanterns I will talk in more detail about later on, but in summary, the bells when placed next to a door will make it harder for the ninjas to get through that door, and the lanterns light 3 squares in all directions, making it easier for the guards to detect the ninjas. The red sections of your board shown on your game board layout page are your search areas, and each one can only contain either 1 search token or 1 barracks token. Barracks are where new guards will appear during the course of the game. Search tokens are what the ninjas need to collect in order to win. These are double-sided and will be placed so that the number faces upwards. This number represents the difficulty of performing the search, with 6 being the maximum. The other side of the token is a symbol representing the family that the token belongs to, which could include traps that, when triggered, will alert the guards to the ninja's presence and potentially damage the ninja. The final thing for the guard player to do is to construct their deck. They'll start by taking the standard cards and remove the 2 About Turn and I Heard You cards. These are no longer used. Also, the What's That cards are only used with the advanced rules. Then take your boss cards identified by the picture. If using Kenta, you'll need to remove the attention cards. Shuffle all these cards together, and then, with your deck built, draw a card and you're ready to play. While the guard player is doing all of this, the ninja players will create a mission deck by shuffling the 2 board specific missions with the 10 generic cards. Then draw a card. This needs to be kept secret from the guard player but shown to all the ninja players, and it will tell them what they need to do in order to win the game. Then they decide who will control which of the 3 ninjas. Then give them the corresponding player boards, movement tokens, dice and model. Then take all the ninja cards and split them by type, equipment, event and bonus. Shuffle the equipment cards and each ninja gets to draw 1 random card except for Yuto, who gets to draw 2 due to his special ability. These are placed unused face down on the ninjas' boards. Then shuffle the rest of the equipment cards with the bonus cards and place them on the table. This is your ninja deck. The event cards will be shuffled and be their own deck. Then the ninjas place the free infiltration tokens on the game board with the number face down so that the guard doesn't know which is which. These can go in any square containing green on the game board layout page and will be the ninjas' way on and off the board. Finally, the ninjas place their models adjacent to any of the infiltration tokens. So that's the game all set up, but how do you win? Well, it depends on whether you're the guards or the ninjas. As the guards, you just need to hope that the ninjas make enough noise and take long enough for either the alert token or the turn tracker token to reach the bell. Either that or you have to kill all three ninjas. For the ninjas, it's all about completing the objective card they have, which means they first have to collect search tokens, succeed a mission check, and then do the stated mission text. So how do they do this? Well, the game is broken down into rounds consisting of first the ninja's turn and then the guard's turn. And the ninja's turn has 3 steps. Step 1 is to replenish dice and move tokens. This is done in the same way as during setup, except that you don't place dice on any space with a wound token on it. Step 2 is to activate the ninjas. You'll move and take actions with a single ninja before moving on to the next ninja. Each turn you can change the order with which you're activating the ninjas, and I'll explain in a moment just all the different options with regards to movement and actions. But first, the third and final step of the ninja's turn is to check endgame conditions. So if the ninjas have completed their mission, or if the alert or turn tracker have reached the bell on the guard mat. Okay, so let's now go back to those different action options. The first thing you're likely to be doing is moving your ninja. For each of your 6 tokens you discard, you can move to an adjacent space. You can move diagonally unless it is across the corner of a wall or doorway, and you can stop moving in order to perform actions and then resume moving afterwards, assuming you have movement tokens left to do so. You can buy up to 2 additional movement tokens each turn at the cost of a dice each. You can move through other figures but not stop on their space. This always applies to ninjas, but only guards as long as you haven't been detected. You can be detected by failing a test and so generating a noise token while in a guard's area of influence, or by a guard successfully completing a detect action, all of which I'll describe in more detail shortly. Most actions involve performing a test which requires you to roll a dice of the corresponding type, either force or stealth. However, you can choose to roll a dice of any type in order to increase your chance of success. Also, if you're doing a force action, unless you also roll a stealth dice in addition to your force dice, you will generate a noise token. That gets placed on the ninja playmat. This is bad as it gives the guards extra actions and helps them win. You'll also generate a noise token if you ever fail any tests. Once you've used your dice, you won't get them back until the next replenish dice step. So, although using dice reduces the chance of you making noise, it does reduce the number of actions you can perform. After rolling your dice, you ignore all but the highest result. If it's a 1, you automatically fail, and on a 6, it's an automatic success. If it's neither of these, you will add your combat modifier for a force action, or your stealth modifier for a stealth action, and you can find these on your ninja playmat, using the top line if undetected, or the bottom if detected. Then compare to the target number for the test. If it's greater than or equal to, you've succeeded, less and you fail. The first action that you're likely to do is to open a door, and you can try this as either a force action or a stealth action. However, if you're doing it as a force action, you will automatically generate a noise token even if you use a stealth die. So which one you choose to do will probably be based on your ninja's modifiers. The target number is the same either way, but it is different depending on the door. The Soji door has a target of 4 and the plank door 5. If successful, the the door is removed from the board. However, if you fail, the door will remain and a noise token is generated. If there's a bell on the door, then even if you succeed using stealth, a noise token is still generated. The next action is evade, and you'll need to do this whenever you move into or within a guard's area of influence, but only once per guard each turn. You can find out a guard's area of influence by looking at their stat box underneath the man in a circle icon. The number tells you how many spaces their area of influence reaches, but they do also need to have line of sight to the space. Line of sight is blocked by doors, walls, and detected models. Any guards within 3 spaces of a lantern and in line of sight of it increase their awareness by 2 and their area of influence to any space in their line of sight within 3 spaces of the lantern. The target value for an evade test is the guard's awareness value, which can be found under the eye icon on their stat box. If the area of influence of multiple guards overlaps on a space you're moving into or within, then you only do one test using the highest guard's awareness value and adding +1 per overlapping guard. If you succeed, you may continue your movement undetected, but if you fail, you generate a noise token and become detected, placing a detected token on your base. You can still continue moving though. If you don't have the dice to roll for the test or you're already detected, then you'll automatically fail any evade tests. The next action is the final stealth action, search. To do this, you need to be adjacent to a search token and not in a guard's area of influence. The target number for the test is the number printed on the token, and if you succeed, you'll first draw a card from the ninja deck and then flip the search token to reveal its group. Then you add it to the mission pool. This may trigger a mission test, and I'll come back to that in a second. Also, if it's a trap, there'll be additional steps. If you fail, instead draw an event card and add a noise token to the ninja's player board. Let's now go back to the mission tests. Most of the ninja's missions will require them to complete a mission test. The ninjas perform a mission test once their collective pool contains 7 tokens, and then every time they add an additional token to the pool. To do the test, simply roll any d6 and add the number of tokens in the mission pool. 1s and 6s are not special for this test, and there are no other modifiers applied. Compare the result to the mission difficulty shown in brackets. If you match or beat it, then reveal the card to all players and then resolve the text on the card. Otherwise, nothing happens. If your search revealed a trap, then immediately add a noise token to the ninja's player board. The guard then performs a force test against the ninja, modified by the reaction value, and with a target value of the ninja's defense. If successful, the ninja receives a wound token. They place this on one of the 4 dice spaces, and it means they have fewer dice available for the rest of the game. Once all 4 spaces have a token on, then the ninja is dead and you remove the model from the board. The next action is melee attack. Unsurprisingly, this is a force action, and as such, unless you use an additional stealth dice in addition to your force dice, you will be automatically adding a noise token to your ninja playmat. To do the melee attack, you must be adjacent to a guard model. If you are undetected and not in any other guard's area of influence, then you count as having rolled a stealth dice to cancel the noise. The target value for this test is the guard's defense value. If successful, remove the model from the board unless it is a boss, in which case you'll place a wound token on the guard mat. If it's the final wound for the boss, you will then remove their model from the board. If unsuccessful, you add a noise token to the ninja's player board, and also the ninja becomes detected, so you place a detected token on the ninja's base. You can also do a ranged attack, but only if you have a piece of equipment stating ranged attack ability on your player board. The number after ability is the range in squares for the attack, and you also have to have line of sight to the guard. This is still a force test, with a target of the guard's defense value, unless the equipment card you're using states otherwise. If you're successful, you'll place a wound the same as you did with a melee attack. If unsuccessful, you still generate a noise token, but you only become detected if you're in a guard's area of influence. There are also three free actions that you can perform. The first of these is if you have either the Poisoned Rice or Caltrops equipment cards, you may drop a token for these in any square you pass through. The second free action that requires no dice is that if you're adjacent to another ninja model, you may freely exchange equipment cards between you. The final free action is that once detected, you may fade into shadows, becoming undetected. But you can only do this if you're not in any guard's area of influence. Also, you must use 2 movement tokens on this instead of on movement. The guard's turn has 6 steps. The first step is noise, alert and turn tokens. Firstly, you'll collect all the noise tokens from the ninja's player boards that they generated during their turn. Then, for each ninja that a noise token was taken from, move the alert token 1 space towards the bell. So that will be a movement of between 0 and 3 spaces each turn. If any noise tokens were taken, then move the turn token 1 step towards the bell. The second step of the guard turn is collecting action tokens, and the guard mat will tell you how many action tokens you get dependent on the current alert level. Step 3 is discard and buy cards. So first you discard any cards you wish to, either from your hand or from the guard player mat, and then you may buy new cards at a cost of 1 noise or action token each, and these will go into your hand. Your hand size limit you can find on the guard player mat. Step 4 of the guard's turn is to perform actions and play cards, and I'll explain how you do all of that in more detail very shortly. The 5th step in the guard turn is to recruit new guards, and you'll do this by spending either noise or action tokens, and the cost of each guard is found in their stat box. You can only recruit guards if you have models available of that type, and if they are of a lower or equal level to the alert level. The final step of the guard turn is end of turn, and at this point any cards on the guard's player mat that don't state remains in play are turned face down, and you discard any remaining action tokens. Okay, so that's the summary of the turn. Let's go back to that step 4 of performing actions and playing cards in detail. So let's start with the cards. A guard can only play a card if they have an empty space for a card on their guard mat. The cards will remain there until discarded during step 3 of the guard's turn. Cards placing guards can be played at any alert level, but the guard model placed will be substituted for a lower level if the guard is of a higher level than the current alert level. Also, the guard player can play cards during the ninja turn. However, they still have to have that empty space on their player mat to play the card into, and they have to pay 1 noise token per card they wish to play. Also, in this special case, you can't play any cards that would add guards or tokens to the board. With the actions, each action will cost either a noise token or an action token, and you can perform actions with as many guards as you can afford. However, each guard can only be assigned a number of action tokens as stated in their stat box. In addition, you can assign a maximum of 1 noise token per guard per turn. Also, once you have activated a model, you must do all the actions you wish to do with that model before activating another model. The actions you can perform as a guard are move, which follows the same rules as for the ninja movement, with the exception that the number of squares they can move is found in their stat box, and guards may open doors without using an action on their turn, but the door is then removed from the board. Other actions are ranged and melee attacks. These follow the same rules as for the ninjas as well, with the exception that a guard can only attack a ninja who is in his area of influence and is detected. Also, they only ever roll 1 dice, and the target value is the ninja's defense value. The guard's combat value then acts as a modifier to the dice roll, and if successful, the ninja takes a wound which will cover one of their dice spaces, and if it's the 4th wound, they are killed. The next action is detect, and you can only do this if there is a ninja in the guard's area of influence. You'll roll a number of dice equal to the guard's awareness, and the target value is equal to 6 plus the ninja's stealth modifier. If the ninja is in the area of influence of any other guards, you may add 1 to this result for each guard they are in the area of influence of. If successful, you'll place a detected token on the ninja, otherwise nothing happens. The final action the guard can perform is promotion. You can only do this if a card or special power says you can, and also only if the next level of guard is allowed by the current alert level. You'll simply remove the model from the board and then replace it with a model of the next level. That's everything you need to start playing, so now we're just going to quickly go through the changes for the advanced rules. Firstly, there's guard states. Much like with the ninjas having detected and undetected, the guards can have alert and unalert, and which state they're in will affect which stats they're using. There are 2 ways for guards to become alert. The first of which is when there is a detected ninja in their area of influence, you will place an alert token on the guard's base. It'll stay there until a card effect removes it or the guard is removed from play. The second way to become alert is a temporary one, and this is whenever you assign a noise token to a guard for them to perform an action, you place that token on their base and they temporarily have the alert state. This token is then removed at the end of turn step. The next rules relate to removing of lantern tokens. If a ninja is adjacent to a lantern token, they may make a force test with a target value of 3 to remove the token. If successful, you remove the lantern token from the board, and any guards that were in the lantern's area of influence become alert, and a noise token is placed on the ninja's player board. If unsuccessful, then the token remains and a noise token is placed on the ninja's player board. The final advanced rule relates to removing bell tokens. Ninjas adjacent to a bell token and not in the area of influence of any guards may make a stealth test with a target value of 5. If successful, the bell token is removed from the board. Otherwise, a noise token is placed on the ninja's player board. And that is everything you need to know to play Rise of the Kage by GCT Studios. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, and of course if you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing to the channel and sharing it with your friends and family. And do also take a look at us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching and bye for now.